Welcome back. All right, so late night tonight, all that other wonderful stuff. 10 games in the NHL. The Detroit and Anaheim game ends up being delayed until Sunday. So it's not like they just delay it forever. It's delayed till Sunday. There was just the one game on Sunday, and we have two. So something more for me to do on Sunday, I guess. So anyways, we move on and start things off with Minnesota and the Boston Bruins. Minnesota came into this one 0-4-1 in its last five. Boston pretty good over its last few games, and it's Kakkonen versus Swayman. First minute, the Wild get a power play. That was unsuccessful, but the Bruins were in neutral early in this game, and it looked like Minnesota was much sharper of the two teams. We then get a power play for the Bruins, which became 2 minutes of 5-on-3. Strong penalty kill by the Wild, though. The Bruins take a penalty to make it a 4-on-3. During that 4-on-3, they score. It's Hall from Riley and Howell at 6:35. And then the Bruins, when the Wild get their power play, they did kill that off. Bergeron has a rush chance saved. The Wild get a power play. It becomes a 5-on-3. During the 5-on-3, Kaprizov scores from Zuccarello and Fiala at 15:25. Swayman makes some saves during the 5-on-4 before, with a second left in the power play, Sturm scores from Brodin and Dewar at 16:48. I pronounce it Dewar, but I've heard Dewar is the way they pronounce that name in the past. So 2-1 for Minnesota at that point. We then get Zuccarello versus Frederic. The Wild get a power play. And Trent Frederic not making any fans happy tonight with the hit on Kaprizov. I hope Kaprizov's okay, but he did leave the game. We'll see whether or not there's anything from player safety on that one. So during the power play, there's a shorthanded break for Marchand. He was poke checked by Kakkonen on that. Rossi then nearly scores before the horn. So there were 12 seconds of Wild power play to start the second period. That is killed off. The Wild pressed at a minute and a half. Rossi with a high stick. There was no call on that. Bruins then get a power play. Foligno can't bury one. That's killed off. We get Kulikov versus Frederic. The Wild end up with a power play. So Frederic was basically ticking off the Wild. I can't say I was all that happy with him either because his play kept giving the Wild man advantages. So outside of the hit on Kaprizov and whatever's going to be the follow-up from that, Frederic can't play that way. So Boldy and Rossi were getting power play time. After the power play ends, Boldy gets his first NHL goal from Foligno and Brodin at 12:26. And that was his first NHL goal. So kudos to Matthew Boldy for getting his first NHL goal in his first game. The Wild go back to the power play. That was a no. Boldy seeks number 2, and the Bruins end up getting a power play during that play. Marchand would score on that power play from Bergeron and Grzelcyk at 15:35. So that makes it 3-2. Bruins then seek the tying goal. Swayman denies Hartman, and we move on to the third period. There's an early power play for the Wild. It lasts 12 seconds before the Bruins force it to a 4-on-4 for a minute and 48. And Kaprizov did not return after the hit by Frederic. So again, hopefully he's okay, but as was stated after the game by their coach, Dean Evison, if Kaprizov doesn't come back, it's serious. So Kaprizov's not a guy who's going to miss the rest of the game unless he can't come back. Shots were 5-2 for the Bruins at 6 minutes. The Wild press with 7 minutes left. They pull the goaltender with a minute and 30 seconds left. The Bruins call a timeout as well. For the empty net, Hartman ends up hitting the post. And then Kakkonen's the one preserving the win. So Minnesota wins this one 3-2. They go to 20-10-2. The Bruins with the loss drop to 17-11-2. 3 stars, Boldy, Hall, and Brodin are your 3 stars in this one. The shots 14-10 Minnesota in the first, 11-10 Boston in the second, 17-6 Boston in the third. The final shots 38-30 for the Bruins. Power plays, Minnesota goes 2 for 8. Boston goes 2 for 5. It was a chippy game. The hits were 33-23 for Boston. Kakkonen saves 36 out of 38. Swayman saves 27 out of 30. And so, yeah, pretty wild game. And again, I didn't mean to use that terminology. But anyways, hopefully, again, Kaprizov's not going to be out for very long. I mean that. I really like Kaprizov. Next up, San Jose, the Sharks against the Buffalo Sabres. It was Hill versus Luukkonen. The shots are 2-1 for the Sharks at 3.5 minutes. The Sharks came out pretty well in this one. Luukkonen, though, was holding them off the board at that point. There's a press by the Sharks at 8.5 minutes. Hurdle can't bury one. Curses loudly when he couldn't bury it. Shimmick then takes it, or his skate catches Hinostroza in the face, but it wasn't like really bad. He's okay. just as one of those, wow, his skate accidentally kicks the guy in the face. Nieto would open the scoring for San Jose from Cogliano and Bonino at 12:27. And then a little over a minute later, Meyer scores from Hurdle and Ferraro at 13:44. We then get a crowd at the Buffalo net. This is all Sharks at this point, and at 17:24, it becomes worse. It's Hurdle from Barabanov, so it's 3-0 after the first period. And I thought, well, looks like Buffalo's going to get destroyed. I was wrong. Second period, better start for the Sabres. Thompson has a drive that deflects out. Cousins can't bury one, but Skinner can. He scores from Olofsson at 7:56 and continues what's been a very good bounce-back season for Skinner. He'll never justify the contract, but he's having a bounce-back season. We then had the Sabres pressing for another. The Sharks get a power play. They're unsuccessful on that. The Sabres get a late power play. Really good penalty kill by the Sharks, though, kills it off. So it's 3-1 headed to the third. Early on, the Sharks are defending well. The Sabres press at 4.5 minutes. Hill then saves on Thompson. We get a high shot that rattles Hill. He was okay, though, stays in the game. Sabres get a power play. Gergensons has a chance that's saved. It's killed off. Great period for Aiden Hill. Really good period, which they need, because, of course, Reimer out with an injury, right? Goalie pull with 2:20 left. With 2:09 left, it becomes a 6-on-4. So in the 6-on-4, they score on it. It's Gergensons from Thompson and Dahlin at 18:14. The Sabres pull the goaltender again. The Sabres press, but the Sharks hang on. So your final score is 3-2, a very needed victory for San Jose. They go to 18-16-1. For the Buffalo Sabres, they drop to 10-18-6. The record continues to get worse. The 3 stars in this one, Hurdle, Hill, and Skinner. Your shots, 11-8 San Jose in the first, 9-5 Buffalo in the second, 22-5 for Buffalo in the third. Final shots, 39-21 for the Sabres. Power plays, San Jose 0 for 1, Buffalo 1 for 3. The hits were 16-10 for San Jose. Hill saves 37 out of 39. Luukkonen saves 18 out of 21. So Aiden Hill, maybe his best game of the season, and he manages to get that victory for San Jose, which again, as I said, absolutely desperately needed. All right, moving along. Calgary. The Flames going through Florida and learning that the Florida teams are pretty good. First they learned that with the Florida Panthers, and now they learn it with Tampa. It was Vladar versus Vasilevsky. Early chances for the Bolts. In fact, they lead in shots 5-2 4 minutes into this. They press at 9 minutes. The Flames get a power play. Unsuccessful power play. Tampa Bay gets a power play after that. There was a close call during that power play for Tampa, but it's killed off. Last minute, there were chances for the Bolts, but it's scoreless after 1, and you get the feeling of, okay, maybe there's a chance in this one for Calgary. Second period, Vladar continues to make saves. Dubé to Shillington. That chance was defended. Point then has 2 chances that are blocked out, so he doesn't even get those to the net. The shots are 5-4 for the Flames at 8 minutes. Foot has a rush chance that's saved. The Bolts press at the half, and eventually a rush chance leads to a goal. It's Corey Perry from Belmar and Killorn at 12:21. Point then nearly adds another. So this is where Tampa starts to really get some control here. Coleman has a blast that goes wide. Things get kind of fighty on that play. There was a check to the head. Richardson takes the 5-minute penalty, and he's out of the game. So we'll see whether or not Department of Player Safety is busy tomorrow. I'm thinking probably going to be busy tomorrow. Long delay to figure all that out. They had to figure out who gets the penalties for what, because everybody was seemingly going at it on the ice. So you get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and then a 3-minute power play for Tampa Bay. A dangerous power play, but it's killed off. It does manage 3 shots. So you go to the third period, Tampa had 1-0. Calgary would love this situation, right? They're a pretty good road team, and they're only down by 1 in Tampa. Belmar's denied in the first minute, but at 2:52, it's Point, who continues to be red hot since coming back from Kucherov and McDonough. Kucherov on the board there. Shots are 3-1 for the Bolts at 6 minutes. The Flames get a power play. Monahan was denied by Vasilevsky. Mangiapane can't bury one, and so Tampa kills that off. Palat would score to make it 3-0 from Kucherov at 10 minutes and 10 seconds, and then 14 seconds later, Killorn puts one in from Stamkos and McDonough. And after that goal goes in, things get really fighty after that. The Flames end up with a power play. The Bolts did kill that off. The Flames break the shutout. It is Dubé scoring from Monahan and Shillington at 15:54. The Bolts would get a power play late, but they win this one 4-1. They go to 23-8-5 for the Flames, 17-9-6. It's back-to-back losses on the road. and we'll see how the rest of this trip goes for them, right? 3 stars in this one: Kucherov, Vasilevsky, and McDonough, all Tampa. Your shots: 14-8 Tampa in the first, 13-5 Tampa in the second, 14-6 Calgary in the third. Final shots: 33-27 for the Bolts. Both teams go 0 for 3 on the power play. Hits were 43-34 for Calgary. Vladar had a good game. The stats won't show that. They show him with 29 saves on 33 shots. Vasilevsky, 26 saves on 27 shots. And when we start talking about who the best goalie is in hockey and who's the front runner for the Vezina, you still have to mention Vasilevsky all the time. That's just how it is. He's fantastic. And as we saw with Vasilevsky out, it really changed Tampa Bay's fortunes. All right, moving along. New Jersey at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it's Korpisalo versus Blackwood. The Devils wearing the jersey for the third time. They're 1-1 when they've worn it coming into tonight. And Tatar on the first shot at 51 seconds. Scores from Bratt and Hughes. So for anybody who might have been like, I don't know about Korpisalo, his recent games, that wouldn't have made you feel any better. All right. So both teams were kept to the outside after until Domi ties it from Gavrikov and Sillinger at 4:54. Since that New Jersey goal, Columbus had been controlling a lot of the play. They continue to do so as well. Jaros has a shot that's blocked, and then Columbus ends up with a power play on a resulting play from that. Strong penalty kill takes that off the board. 2 shots for Columbus on the power play. Laine fires one wide from the slot. There's a late power play for Columbus, and then Kuokkanen's down. What happened to Kuokkanen? He took a puck in the face. So New Jersey continues to have puck magnets when it comes to taking pucks in the face, and it's ridiculous how many guys have taken a puck to the face over the last 4 or 5 games. So it's 1-1 after the first period. Second period, there's a 26-second Columbus power play to start. That's killed off. Blackwood was keeping this game tied at this point. Tatar has a chance that saved. The Devils would press. Post for Mercer, missed by Graves. The shots at 7.5 minutes are 6-0 in favor of the Devils. So Columbus didn't have a shot in that second period to that point. The Devils press. They draw themselves a power play on that. Bratt fires one wide. It's killed off. Jenner has a sharp angle shot that's saved. Chinikov was denied. Bratt has a chance that's saved. And right after that, Graves had one that was saved as well. This was a pretty good game. Pretty good back and forth game. And it's still tied at 1 going into the third period. Third period, there's an early power play for the Devils, and they score on it. It's Jesper Bratt from Hughes and Bastian at 1:16. Right after that, Bratt to Hughes, then there's a near miss on that. Hughes nearly bears one right after that. So Bratt and Hughes have this fantastic chemistry with one another. Really glad that they're out there playing together. It's great to watch. We then had Columbus press at 8 minutes. Columbus ends up with a power play. It doesn't last very long before it becomes a 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off. Bratt then hits the side of the net. The goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. That allows Jack Hughes to hit the empty net from Tatar and Graves at 18 minutes and 40 seconds. So Tatar with a goal and an assist. Hughes with a goal and 2 assists. Graves ends up with an assist on that empty netter. New Jersey wins this one 3-1. They go to 14, 16, and 5. For Columbus, the slide continues. 15, 16, and 1. It's getting kind of ugly. 3 stars, Hughes, Bratt, and Blackwood. So all New Jersey on that one. Shots, 18-5 Columbus in the first, 12-7 New Jersey in the second, 11-7 New Jersey in the third. Final shots, 32-28 for Columbus. Power plays, Columbus 0 for 4, New Jersey 1 for 3. Hits, 11-6 New Jersey. Not very much hitting in this game. Korpisalo saves 25 out of 27. Blackwood saves 31 out of 32. So for the New Jersey Devils, they're trending in the right direction. This is 4 wins in 5 games. Columbus, it's just not trending in the right direction at all. And now I need to change boards. Okay, so Pittsburgh has now won 10 in a row. Fantastic run by the Pittsburgh Penguins. 10 in a row means there's a video. So that's been a rule for many years. It's 4 years now that if a team hits 10 wins in a row, I got to do a video on it. So yeah, we'll talk about that. So it's Jari versus Hart in this one. The game was back and forth early. Crosby's line press. Rust was denied during that. He wasn't denied a lot tonight. Crosby and Rust and Gensel, just that line is so fantastic. And so when Malkin gets back, things should get even more dangerous. The Flyers get a power play. That's a no. Shots are 6-3 for the Penguins at the half. The press by the Penguins then draws them a power play, and they score on it. It's Rust from Letang and Crosby at 12:21. That's the only power play Pittsburgh had tonight. They made it count. Penguins, Flyers then both take penalties. There's a 4-on-4, and that's after a Flyers goal was waved off, which the Flyers weren't happy about because you're never happy about a goal being waved off. Rust would then score from Rodriguez at 14:55. And then the replay has to take over because Jake Guentzel looked like maybe he got it. Maybe Carter Hart made the save. It was close. They review it, and it's in. Guentzel from Letang and Crosby at 16-16. It's 3-0. So Flyers fans not happy after the first period of this one. Second period, good start for the Flyers. McGinn has a rush chance that's defended. Farabee had a rush. His shot was blocked. The Flyers get a power play. They don't score on it. However, after it's done, Atkinson did score to get Philadelphia on the board from Farabee and Lawton at 8 minutes and 10 seconds. So it's 3-1. At this point, the bench is already chirping at each other. Emily Kaplan between the benches talking about how, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Guentzel that said Farabee was a cheap player. So, yeah, they already didn't like each other, and I think that was in the first. Pens then tried to answer. Atkinson had a net feed then that wouldn't go. There was a press by the Penguins with 6 minutes left, but it's 3-1 after 2 periods. Third period, 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Penguins press. Russ really wanted the hat trick. Not much room for the Flyers out there in that third period. Marino has a chance to deflect out, and then Rodriguez stays red hot. He scores from Kapanen at 8:50. Penguins go for another. They get it. It's Jake Guentzel scoring from Crosby and Rust at 10:20. Flyers get a power play. During that power play, Boyle scores from Marino, shorthanded at 11:51. After the power play ended, Flyers do get a goal. It's Lindblom from Frost and McEwen at 13 minutes. And so, yeah, special teams were quite the story tonight. A power play goal for Pittsburgh on their only chance. They get a shorthanded goal during one of the 3 power plays the Flyers had, and they win this game 6-2. They go to 28-5. The Flyers dropped to 13-15-6. It's a miserable run for the Flyers. Your 3 stars in this: Rust, Guentzel, and Jari. Shots 15-9 Pittsburgh in the first, 8-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 9-5 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots 32-20 for the Pens. Power plays, the Penguins go 1 for 1. The Flyers 0 for 3. The hits 30-17 Philadelphia. Jari saves 18 out of 20. Hart saves 26 out of 32. Rough night for Carter Hart, but just a rough night for Philly's defense. And Pittsburgh's been doing this. They've been doing this to teams a lot. So there you go. The Pittsburgh Penguins stay red hot. And for the Flyers, they're still looking for some answers. Next up, this was crazy. Florida-Dallas was absolutely bonkers. And so, yeah, these are new magnets for anybody who wants to know. So, yeah, Florida, it's Bobrovsky versus Holtby. I always write that it's Rave Night because Dallas is wearing their black jerseys. I like them. They've grown on me over the last year and a half. Early press by the Panthers. Hintz, Pavelski try to combine, but the puck was covered there by Bobrovsky. Some signs of rust for the Stars early. Not so sharp on the plays. Some lazy turnovers. Just, they hadn't played in 16 days before tonight. Shots are 3 apiece at 5 minutes. Hintz had a break. He was robbed by Bobrovsky. Duclair has a chance that's blocked in the slot. There's a power play for the Panthers, and they score on it. It's Barkov from Huberdeau and Ekblad at 8:27. Holtby then needed a Band-Aid on his thumb, so he gets that. Referee talks to him. Seems really chipper. Raffle would tie it from Klingberg and Fox at 12:53. The Panthers get a late power play, which is killed off, and with 5.4 seconds left in the period, the Stars get a power play. Whatever the Florida Panthers devised during the first intermission to deal with the power play, it was pretty smart, at least initially. At 18 seconds into the second period, Florida gets its lead back. It's Barkov shorthanded from Ekblad and Lundell. And he took it around Holtby. He put around Holtby like he was standing still. But during that power play at 1:46, the puck just trickles in. It's Gurianov from Ben and Heiskanen, and so that ties things up. However, at 4:07, Hornquist gives Florida its third lead of the game from Forsling and Gudas. So it is a really back and forth, lot of goals kind of game. Stars get a power play. Gudas had a hit that upset the fans. There was no call on that. Panthers killed off the power play. Heiskanen was denied. Good star shift before Heiskanen's denied on that one. And then Robertson scores one off Uyghur's stick. Sometimes you got to have those deflections. From Klingberg and Pavelski at 13-10. Sagan would then score from Gurianov 28 seconds later. A goal that I think Sagan desperately needed. And so that puts Dallas into the lead. Oh, but it's not done. Because then Uyghur scores to tie it again from Luostarinen at 17-17. That was a fantastic play overall by Uyghur on that one. He is an underrated defenseman in the NHL. There was a last-minute press then by the Stars, but it's 4-4 going into the third period. Early power play for the Panthers. The Stars did kill that off. Panthers press after, but it is the Stars who get that 5-4 lead. And it's Ben that scores from Gurianov at 6:26. And it was because Bobrovsky came out of his net. I don't know why he came out of the net, but yes, there's the meme going around of Steve Dangle with your goaltender 10 the goal. I had that thought with Bobrovsky coming out and playing it. It's going to be a dang it. It has to be. So, yeah, Bobrovsky, whoops. Stars then had a power play. That was unsuccessful. The Panthers pressed with 8 minutes left. The goaltender was pulled with about 3 minutes left. There's an icing by the Stars with 1:38 left. Huberdeau hits the crossbar. Here's the problem. Dallas, whose faceoffs were really good throughout the game, they couldn't win one in the last 5 minutes. Darryl Ray was beside himself with the fact that they could not win a faceoff. Period. Every faceoff was being won by Florida. They iced the puck again with 43.6 seconds left, and then Verhaeghe's robbed. And so they go over and they, pat Holtby on the head like, hey, good save, great save. Here's an idea. Win the faceoff. Get the puck out. Bail out your goaltender. Nope. Huberdeau scores from Ekblad and Barkov at 19:31. And if I could rage quit a game, if I was the type of fan that would do that, that's where it would have happened for me as a Dallas fan. Because again, they just weren't winning a faceoff. It's like, you guys can win. You're allowed, right? So anyways, it goes to overtime. The Panthers control early. Robertson has a chance to deflect out. Ben had a shot that was saved. Gurianov couldn't bury one. Barkov with a break. That was saved, although it didn't count as a shot, I guess. But, yeah. So we go to a shootout. In the shootout, Dallas wins, which is the weird thing. Last year, they didn't win these. Pavelski and Robertson both score. Dallas wins 6-5 in a shootout. They go to 16-12-2. Really important 2 points after 16 days off. For the Florida Panthers, they're 22-7-5. They get the overtime loss, but their road record is not good. And this is the thing with Florida. This is what's holding me back a little bit with Florida. Great record at home, not a great record on the road. And so they've got more road games to come than they have home games. They have to get their road record better. Allowing as many goals as they did tonight is simply just not acceptable. Your 3 stars in this one, Gurianov, Barkov, and Ben. The shots, 19-10 Florida in the first, 20-14 Dallas in the second. That's some 80s numbers there. 9-2 in the third in favor of Florida. Yeah, Dallas needed to win some faceoffs and get some pressure. And in the overtime, 4 shots, all for Dallas. Final shots, 42-36 in favor of Florida. So 78 shots in this game. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. The hits, 23-18 Dallas. Bobrovsky saves 31 out of 36. Holtby saves 37 out of 42. And I thought both goaltenders had a good game, minus Bobrovsky's moment of coming out of the net to play the puck when he didn't need to. And I'm sure that his own players were like, what are you doing? Get back in the net. And he gave it up. So Bobrovsky with the second assist there on that goal that gets Ben on the board. So Ben and Sagan both getting goals tonight. That's important for Dallas to get the veterans going. All right, next up. Jets. Well, so again, a week ago, there were a lot of people saying, I don't understand why Shannon likes Colorado. And there are people who've said that a lot this season. They did it again. This is not the first time they've done this season. So Hellebuck versus Kemper is your matchup. Early press by the Abs, but the Jets end up getting the first power play, and they score on it. It's Scheifele from Kopp and Pionk at 2:56. In fact, 4 of the first 5 shots at the 4.5-minute mark are from Winnipeg. They're having a very good road game. Looks like Colorado's a little flat. Abs get a power play. That was unsuccessful. McKinnon had a chance that was saved. There's a press by the Jets. Darcy Kemper making some saves there. Kadri would tie it from Johnson and Burakovsky at 16:20. McKinnon then had a rush chance that's fired wide. Pionk had a blast that was turned aside. And in the last minute, there was a press by the Avalanche. So, as the period rolls along, the Avs are getting better. So the Jets After the first period, must have thought, all right, we've got a tie so far on the road. We just have to play a bit better in the second period. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Second period, rush chance early for the Jets. Back-to-back icings, though, by the Jets as the Avs start to get that pressure going. Avs get a power play and they score on it. At 5:20, it is Landeskog from Rantanen and McKinnon. The Avs then press at 9 minutes and eventually they score. It's Rantanen from McKinnon and Landeskog at 10:28. So it's 3-1 for Colorado, and that's where I thought it's not the Jets' night. Burakovsky has a rush chance that's saved. The Jets had a power play. Good power play, but a lot of cycling. Puck controls there. They didn't have any good chances. They didn't end up getting any shots during that power play. The Avs, it felt like it really taken control, and while I'm writing it, Landeskog scores to prove, yep, taking control from McKinnon and Rantanen at 15:21. And it had been 10-plus minutes since the Jets had their last shot. Schmidt did have a rush chance that was a near miss after that, but after 2 periods, the rating's kind of on the wall. It's 4-1. Svechnikov nearly gets one early. There's a power play for the Jets. That was a no. The shots are 9-3 for the Jets at 8.5 minutes. So they had opportunities, and then it fell apart. At 12:17, it's McKinnon from Girard and Byram. The Jets get a power play. That was a no. But it allows Kemper to get some more saves. Best night that Kemper's had as an Avalanche goaltender. The Avs then get a power play, and they score on it. Landeskog from Rantanen and McKinnon at 17:10, and it's just a penalty-filled finish. There's a lot of back and forth. Things get really chippy, which in a lopsided game, that can happen. Byram scores on the power play from Johnson at 19:49. So the good news for Bowen Byram, he gets a goal and an assist. That's good news for Avs fans everywhere, too. They win this one 7-1. The Jets drop to 16-12-5, so they miss out on an opportunity to pass the Oilers. They're not the only team that missed an opportunity to pass the Oilers tonight. The Oilers owe some gift baskets. First off to the Avs here. The Avs go to 28-2 with the win, so they've won 20 out of 30. Your 3 stars, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Erik Johnson. So your shots, 13-11 Winnipeg in the first, 18-7 Colorado in the second, 15-3 for the Avs in the third. But remember, they were ahead in the shots 8-3 or 9-3 at 8.5 minutes. So the Avs took it over again after that. Final shots, 42-35 for Colorado. Power plays 1 for 5 for Winnipeg, 3 for 4 for Colorado. Hits 24-15 for the Avs. Hellebuck saves 35 out of 42. That's not going to help his numbers. And Kemper saves 34 out of 35. That will help his numbers. So Darcy Kemper is starting to have a good season. So now that he's healthy and things are going better for the Avs, look out. People keep talking about their goals against, which has been bad, but it's been better in recent weeks. So we'll see if they continue to turn that number in their favor. Next up, Avalanche, Chicago here against Arizona. Avalanche are here. Now we're talking about Chicago and Arizona. So it's Fleury versus Vejmelka. It was a good start for the Coyotes. They had the opportunities early, and then they score at 3:16. It's Mayo from Gostisbehere and Galchenyuk. So Galchenyuk on the board with an assist. It's 1-0 Arizona. In fact, 8 minutes into this game, the shots are 5-2 for Arizona. Chicago comes out flat in this one. Power play for the Hawks. That was unsuccessful. The Hawks press with 7 minutes left. They get themselves a power play. That was unsuccessful. And then in the final minute, it's Larson scoring from Mosier and Gostisbehere. So I've talked about players coming in and making a good impression and maybe earning themselves a roster spot. And Mosier is doing that right now with the Arizona Coyotes. Absolutely, he's played quite well. Vejmelka, though, after that first period was really the story again. Chicago had really good opportunities. Vejmelka's robbing them. There was one opportunity for DeBrincat in that first period that just, even he was just smirking like, I don't know how he saved that. So second period, Doc would break up the shutout early from Kurashev and Murphy at 1 minute. Kirby Doc's had a poor season so far. We'll see if this gets him going. In fact, 4 minutes into this period, the shots are 7-0 for Chicago. Kubalik has a rush chance that's denied, and then Entwistle would tie it up at 5:24 from Taves and DeHaan. And at this point, we still have 0 shots for the Coyotes. So this is kind of the Coyotes meltdown, which has been a thing this year. Coyotes then get a power play. Mosier on the first unit of that power play. It's killed off, but the Coyotes go right back to the power play. This time they score on it. It's Boyd who continues what's been a very good season for him with the Coyotes from Kessel and Mosier at 9:56. So Mosier with 2 assists at that point in the game. Hawks try to answer. The Coyotes then get another power play. We have 4-on-4 for 28 seconds. The Hawks would get a power play after that. DeBrincat fires one wide during that power play, and it's killed off. Another Coyotes power play follows. Kessel with a net crash, but it stays out. And then there's a shorthanded chance for Kara, which is saved by Vejmelka. So we go to the third period with the Coyotes leading 3-2. Keller would make it 4-2 from Boyd at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. That one's challenged. The challenge shows, no, it's a good goal. So the Coyotes go back to the power play, and they score on it. It's Larson with his second goal of the game from Boyd and Kessel at 4:01. So suddenly, this game's looking kind of lopsided, but not for long. Taves scores from McCabe and Stillman at 6:29. So it's about 2.5 minutes later, Chicago gets on the board and tightens things up a little bit. Hawks get a power play. There was a shorthanded break for Roussel. He was denied on that. Then there's a delay game call on Stralman, who I don't know what Stralman was thinking there. Obvious he's going to throw that over the glass. Not the best penalty. Hawks go back to the power play and they score on it. DeBrincat from Kane and Strome at 13:21. So suddenly this is a pretty close game that we're watching. Suddenly it's 5-4. Goalie pull with 2 minutes left. Then with 53.1 seconds left, the Hawks call a timeout. However, the empty netter, it's Larson. He does get his first career hat trick from Krause and Keller at 19:31. That takes the tension out of the game. The Arizona Coyotes win. They win tonight over Chicago. They go to 7-22-3, and for Chicago, a brutal loss. 11-18-5 is their record now. 3 stars: Larson, Boyd, and Gostisbehere. Shots favored Chicago the whole way. 12-8 in the first, 12-10 in the second, and 11-8 in the third. Final shots: 36-26. Shots were 13-8 in the first for Chicago. Okay, 36-26 in favor of Chicago overall. Both teams had 5 power plays. Chicago scored once. Arizona scored twice. The hits: 27-17 for Chicago. Fleury saves 20 out of 25. Vejmelka saves 32 out of 36. And there you go. The Coyotes playing spoiler with a division rival who really needed this win tonight and didn't get it. Now it's time to change boards. And the final board, just with the 2 games on it, we've got the Rangers and the Vegas Golden Knights up first. It was Georgiev versus Leonard, and of course this is the return for Ryan Reeves to Vegas. First time he's played against the Vegas Golden Knights since he left for the Rangers. The Rangers press at 4 minutes. Stone then fires one wide from the slot. There was a video tribute to Reeves, and Reeves said it kind of threw him off his game a little bit. I've always thought that Reeves didn't really want to leave Vegas. I think he really enjoyed playing in Vegas. I think that was where he was happiest. Not that he's not happy with the Rangers. I don't mean to insinuate that he's not happy with the Rangers, but I think he has some very fond memories of playing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Leonard then denies Kreider. The shots were 4-4 with 8 minutes left. I thought the Rangers played very well early in this, and it was pretty evenly played. Pietrangelo has a blast that saved. The Rangers get a power play. Jones has a chance that's saved and held. Theodore, then out of the box, he has a chance. He's denied. There's a late Vegas power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Zibanejad that wouldn't go, and then they score on that power play. It's Marchessault from Smith and Roy at 18:35. It's 1-0 Vegas after 1. Second period, though, Kreider scores from Zibanejad and Kakko at 52 seconds. So it's a tie game very quickly. Dodonov then nearly scores. Vegas presses it around the 7-minute mark. And Stone would score from Dodonov and Stevenson at 8:14. And then Vegas really pressing for another. You could see the momentum had swung. We were at 5+ minutes without a shot for the New York Rangers. Goudreau can't bury one. The Rangers would press shortly after that. The shots were 10-7 for Vegas with 7 minutes left. Janmark would score shortly thereafter from Kolasar and Hutton at 13:08. So it's 3-1 Vegas after 2. We go to the third. Goudreau's robbed early. Howden then scores against his former team. Believe he scored both times he's played against his former team this year from Patrick and Coughlin at 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So that made it a 4-1 score, and it's a 5-hole goal as well. So I know that there was a lot of blame to go around in this game tonight. As of, for instance, and I retweeted this out, Hayek was on the ice for 4 goals by the Vegas Golden Knights. And in terms of chances, there were a lot of chances for Vegas when he was on the ice. Not a lot of chances for the Rangers when he was on the ice. Rough night for Libor Hayek. But that Howden goal was not fantastic either. Strome then had a rush chance. That fizzles out. Hutton blasts one high. He still doesn't have a goal since joining Vegas. Rangers can't get slot shots. They could not get those opportunities that normally we see from New York Rangers games. Those fast breaks weren't there for them either. Dodonov was denied. Vegas presses, and Marchessault scores from Smith at 12:59. The Rangers get a power play. We end up with 8 seconds of 4-on-4, meaning Vegas had a power play after that. In the end, your score's 5-1. Vegas showing they can play well against Gerard Gallant's team. 23-13-1 is now the record for the Vegas Golden Knights. The Rangers in the loss dropped to 22-9-4. So very similar records. If you want to simplify it, 22-13 on one side, 23-14 on the other. Very similar records. 3 stars are Marchessault, Janmark, and Howden. Janmark continues the incredible run he's been on. Your shots, 11-8 Vegas in the first, 13-7 Vegas in the second, 11-4 Vegas in the third. Final shots, 35-19 for Vegas. Power plays, 0-2 for the Rangers, 1-3 for Vegas. The hits, 45-16 for the New York Rangers. Georgiev saves 30 out of 35. Leonard saves 18 out of 19. Not a difficult night for Leonard. That is exactly what he needed after what's been, kind of a rough couple of months for him. He needed a night like this. So when they needed Leonard to make saves, he did, but they didn't need Leonard to make a lot, and I don't think he's going to complain about it. All right, last game of the night, Nashville and the Kings. So this is what's happening now with Nashville. Nashville's still getting the results, but I don't necessarily love the way they're playing to get those results. So it's Saros versus Quick. Early press by the Kings. Carrier then had a net drive that's saved, and Nashville Predators end up getting a power play out of it. Forsberg would score during that power play from Yossi and Granlund at 3:49. Furk then tips one high on a rush. Furk playing his first game for the Kings this season tonight. Saros looked to be stealing this early. Right away I was like, yeah, Saros is in the zone. I don't know that the Kings have much of a chance. There's a late power play then for the Preds, and they score on it. Duchesne scores from Forsberg and Yossi at 19:01. So it's 2-0 for the Nashville Predators on the strength of their power play, which is something I don't think a couple years ago I would have been saying, but here we are. Arvidsson then had a rush chance early in the second period. You could tell Arvidsson really wanted to beat his former team. But Luff scores. He used to be a King. He scores from McCarron and Cousins at 2:49. So that made it 3-0. And again, I'm thinking this game could be a wipeout. And I think that was only the 8th shot for Nashville, and they had 3 goals already. Sissons then nearly adds another. Quick would rob Benning. Borowiecki ends up hitting the side of the net. And then there's a turnover that's forced by Dustin Brown, and at 9:37 he scores on it. Then there's a scrum after a Saros save. This game devolved quickly. Lemieux was in the mix of all of it, and that becomes a 4-on-4. Lemieux comes out of the box. Lemieux then had a fight with Borowiecki. Lemieux was temperamental tonight. Just going to throw that out there. He was temperamental. Borowiecki was more than willing to go with him. And Lemieux tied him up pretty quick. So Lemieux was willing to drop the gloves and then tied him up because Borowiecki is Boro Cup, man. You don't want to fight Boro Cup. So with 2:35 left, we get more punchiness between these teams. Kings get a power play out of it. That was unsuccessful. John Hines was not happy with the power plays and the way that the game was being called, but that's not that unusual. 0.3 seconds left. Johansson, who had been in the box for the previous power play, he goes right back to the box. He had just come back on the ice and he goes back to the box. And I have to say, the penalty they called there I thought wasn't great, but that means that the Kings opened the third period on a power play. Pretty good penalty kill by Nashville to open the third. There wasn't really any room out there for the Kings. And then there was an early whistle for Saros after the power play was done. He didn't have the puck. The referee thought he did, lost sight of it, blows the whistle. Forsberg then can't bury one. There was some pressure from the Nashville Predators. Lemieux was making more friends every time he was on the ice because it's what Brendan Lemieux does. Saros then robs Kopitar. The Preds get a power play. Cunning's chance was saved. It's killed off. 10:17 left. The Kings get a power play. And this is where they really start pouring it on. Furk scores on the power play from Doughty and Arvidsson at 10:33. So there's Arvidsson on the board there. And Arvidsson had kind of mixed it up with Johansson a bit, but they were kind of laughing about it. Johansson wasn't happy about the penalties, but he obviously it was weird for him and Arvidsson to be on opposite sides in this situation. Kings then press for the tie. Quick would deny Forsberg on an opportunity. Saros was the one holding the lead. There were a lot of shots coming in. I couldn't write all of them. Well, I could have written all of them down, but that would just seem ridiculous. Moore was denied in close. Preds guilty of hanging on. Goalie is pulled with 2 minutes left. So what ends up happening? Trennan scores from Jeannot at 18:49. The empty netter to make it 4-2. Kings pull the goaltender again to no avail. They lose the game 4-2. Nashville goes to 22-11-2. The Kings drop to 16-13-5. But the Kings played a good game. The 3 stars in this one were Forsberg, Brown, and Saros. I would have given Saros the first star. Here's why. Shots 13-6 LA in the first, 14-8 LA in the second, 21-6 LA in the third. Final shots 48-20 for the Kings. Power plays 2 for 3 for Nashville, 1 for 4 for LA. Hits 32-31 for Nashville. Saros 46 saves on 48 shots. Quick saves 16 out of 19. So, yeah, for the Kings, this is a tough one. They could have jumped into the playoffs tonight because they already knew Winnipeg had lost, and they just couldn't quite complete that comeback. For Nashville, they're allowing a lot of shots right now. They may want to knock that off a little bit. Just a little, give Saros a bit of a break. But yeah, there you go. You guys are all caught up. I will throw this in. I mentioned last night in the Q&A video that I did that we were supposed to get freezing rain. We're getting it now. The power lines are really quite heavy looking from it, so that can absolutely knock power out because it's going to get up on all the tree branches. I don't know how the power is going to be around here in the morning, so I'm just letting people know because again, it definitely looks like we're going to have some tree branches come down, and when that happens, it can be just rough. But so far, so good. We'll see how long the freezing rain lasts. It's supposed to change to torrential downpouring rain after. The nice thing is you have the snow and then you have the layer of ice on top. So the water just runs right off and it has nowhere to go. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching though. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't. I'm hoping that I have videos up in the morning again. But I've been through this before with these kinds of ice storms. It can end up getting ugly. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. And I do hope I'm talking to you again soon.